West Hollywood, La La Land, and around the world to another edition of Weho Sports. My name is Raul Alonso, and I'm your host. Let's get right into it before I introduce my co-host and give a big shout out to Michael Sam and congratulate him for getting the Arthur Asher Award yesterday on the ESPYs last night. And also, my friend has a shirt right here of Germany. And congratulations to Germany for winning the World Cup. So now that I got that out of the way, let's introduce everybody. We have to my right, we have Axel. Welcome, señorita. And to my left, I have George. Welcome back, George.
Thank
and
you.
Our lovely guest, Dr. Kathy Gruver. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thanks for having me back.
It's been a year since you've been here. I'm excited that you're back because we left everything like halfway last year. So let's get right into it and let's talk about your two books. So you hold that one and I'll hold this. And so we can have that director focus on the books and you can tell us a little bit because I know one of these books got you a TV show.
It did. The Alternative Medicine Cabinet was my first book. That's the one Raul's holding. And it has won 2 awards and was turned into a TV show not too long ago. So we're waiting for the network to get back online. The show should be airing very soon. So very excited about that. And the book that Axel's holding, Conquer Your Stress with Mind-Body Techniques. Now, I know none of your viewers have any stress at all. So, it's probably not worth mentioning the book. But for people having stress, it's won 2 awards now and was also a finalist. It won the Beverly Hills Book Awards and the Indie Excellence Awards, so I'm very excited about that. And it's at least 50 ways that people can take control of their stress response, get into that mind-body connection, and find really simple ways to be healthier and happier, because we have control over our thoughts, our words. We can't control anything that's going on out there. We can only take responsibility for ourselves, and I teach you ways to do that in the book. So.
And by the way, you do a lot of stuff. I have a little clip of pictures of things that you do. When our director is ready, we can play that and we can talk over and you can tell us what you're doing on these pictures because they're fantastic. You are in New York, Times Square.
I just got a billboard in Times Square. Oh my gosh, one of my old modeling pictures. Yeah, I did a lot of modeling when I was back in Pittsburgh.
Fantastic. I love that picture. I think you are such a good model right there in that corner.
So what's there to do out in Pittsburgh?
Oh my gosh, you can eat and drink and there's so much to do in Pittsburgh. Book signing down in up in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, we have a few of the pictures of you doing your speeches.
Yeah, that was in Las Vegas. The Women's Festival. I was so privileged to be one of the MCs for the International Women's Festival this year. Beautiful event. It's a passion of mine to help women and young girls find themselves and, that's me swimming with sharks. And then if they get out of hand, I shoot them.
And then you run away and then
I run away in the race car. My husband, for my birthday and Christmas, got us a helicopter tour.
And then,
I love that.
Tell us what you do there.
I do flying trapeze.
This is unbelievable. Look at that. I can't even do push-ups with 2 hands. You're doing it with 1 hand. This is unreal. Boxing?
Yeah, that was whitewater rafting. That's my lovely husband. We like to do...
and that's one of the
over
the
TV
150 interviews
radio and TV shows. But, for my birthday and Christmas this year, he got me... events rather than things. So we just went skeet shooting the other day. We did a helicopter tour of Santa Barbara. He got me race car driving lessons. He wants us to have experiences. That's we just passed by my dance instructor. She's my acupuncturist. This was shots from my TV show. Some of the guests that I had on. So it's
and that's your husband?
That's my husband. That was our anniversary this year.
Oh, nice.
That's us drinking.
And that's in a winery? I know that much. I said that.
Yeah, exactly. Back in Virginia. Oh my God, you found all these pictures. That's crazy. Oh, the Hearst Castle. Yeah.
I love those pictures.
We're up there
of the
for a
Hearst
private
Castle.
party. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm very privileged that my husband's in the wine and food and travel industry, so I get to go to a lot of really great events and eat and drink and be merry and enjoy him and our relationship and myself and get to have that fun. So that's very cool.
Yeah, you talked about the event that you did with the woman. I know today you were doing another event for cancer survivors and stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because,
Yeah, there's a cancer resource center on Bundy here in Los Angeles, and they offer yoga and meditation, lots of mind-body medicine. It was really a phenomenal event. They had, I think they almost sold out. They had well over 60 people in attendance today, and I was really thrilled and honored to be there. I lost my mom to cancer when I was 18. So there's a special place in my heart for people suffering with cancer and dealing with cancer treatment. She went through chemo and radiation and all these issues. So to be able to talk to the people dealing with their cancer treatment was really a thrill for me, and I hope everybody got something really good out of it.
And also on your book, The Altered Medicine, you have guides of how people can help themselves with cancer.
Yeah, it's like saying, it's great to say we're looking for a cure for cancer, but whose cancer, and which person?
Right.
It's such an individual thing, and I spoke with so many people today with everything from brain cancer to thyroid cancer to breast cancer. My mom had a very rare cancer. She had a tumor on her spine, which just was not treatable at that point in time in the 80s back in Pittsburgh. So, anything that I can do, any resources that I can talk about, and stress is a huge part of that. Stress depletes our immune system, and it either contributes or exacerbates every disease, disorder, dysfunction. So, talking about stress reduction, relaxation, nutrition was the other thing I talked about today, is going to help anybody suffering from anything, frankly. And why wait till you've got a disease? Start now and decrease that stress response and make changes now. It's never too late and it's never too early.
You talk about stress. We all try to hide the stress, especially when we're around our family members. How can we pick up when our family members are under a lot of stress, or how can we help them to snap out of it?
Yeah, there's a lot of sort of symptoms of stress. So things like insomnia, or oversleeping. So if they're normally up at 8 o'clock in the morning and suddenly it's 10 o'clock in the morning and they're still asleep, after a while you might go, maybe something's going on. Losing joy in things that used to bring them joy. So if they were really into volleyball and now they don't care, they don't want to go, they don't want to play the computer games, they road rage, overeating, smoking, gum chewing, jaw tension, headaches, people kind of walking around like this, they're clearly having some sort of tension. And just recognizing that. And, one of the keys to health is being self-aware and knowing your own self. And, we can call our mechanic and describe what our car is doing, but we can't tell our doctor and our practitioners what is happening with us. And it's really important that you take that time, you take that moment to get to know yourself and know how you feel when you're well, and know how you're feeling when you're not feeling well, so you can communicate that. And knowing the people around us too is another thing to do. We can help each other by saying, you look a little bit different today, what's going on? It's that awareness, it's that self-awareness.
I see. You have a question for her, Axel?
Yeah. In the book you mentioned biodots. What are they?
Oh, biodots are so fun. I don't have any with me. They're these little, almost kind of like mood rings, and you put them on your hand, and it kind of registers your stress level. So if it's bright blue and bright purple, you're relaxed, and the darker it gets, it goes to black. It's an indication that you're stressed or cold. It's a measure of temperature. But what's so phenomenal about them, and you can get them online, I mentioned them in my stress book, is it's a great way. Sometimes we don't know we're stressed. You think
Sure.
we would know, but there are some times where we're going along and we don't even realize, we don't acknowledge that we're building up the stress. And you look at this biodot and go, oh, maybe something's happening. So it's a great indicator of stress, and it's similar to a mood ring, a little more scientific. But I love using them.
So out of everything in this book,
Yes.
what would you say is your favorite way to deal with the stress that's usually in the book here? Like, what would you do?
Yes. I'll tell you right now, I am not a meditator. Okay, I'm very type A. I do things like hip hop dancing and flying trapeze to relax.
Nice.
So if you tell me to sit on a pillow and still my brain, quiet my body, I ain't doing it. But there's something called a mini meditation, and I go to this all the time. This is my favorite tool in my toolbox, and it's as simple as concentrating on your breath, paying attention to the rise and fall of your chest, and on the inhales you think, I am, and on the exhales you think, at peace. And you just keep repeating that. So it's inhale, I am, exhale, at peace, and it stops the stress response. It puts you back in the present moment, and the stress just leaves you, because you can't be thinking, oh geez, I have an exam tomorrow, and I have an IRS audit, and oh, my mother-in-law's coming to live with me, and you can't be thinking all of those things if you're thinking, I am at peace. And that's my favorite technique. I've taught it to thousands of people, and that's my go-to thing.
Nice. So staying in that subject, I know that a lot of people are stressed out in that sense, but they don't know how to communicate. How can anybody communicate, or you touched a little bit about it, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the very basic thing, which is communication with ourselves. It's hard enough to figure out how to communicate with somebody else, but one of the issues is we're not being kind to ourselves. It's estimated that we have about 60,000 thoughts a day, and that 50,000 of those are negative.
Right.
That's a lot of negative thoughts, and we don't even realize we're doing it. We're saying things like, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, my hair is bad, my butt's too big, I'm too young, I'm too old, I can't do this. We're constantly having this barrage of negative self-talk. And every time we do that, we're upping our stress response just a little bit. So the very first thing we have to learn to do is communicate with ourselves. And again, we can't really stop thinking things. It's very difficult to do that. That's where I like affirmations. So rather than saying something like, oh geez, I'm getting sick, I hope I'm not getting sick, I think I'm getting sick, we're programming that. Say something like, I am healthy and well. My immune system is strong and resilient. We can program our physiology using things like affirmations. And if we're talking to ourselves in a positive way, that's going to automatically translate into talking to other people in a positive way. I'm in hypnotherapy school right now because I had 10 minutes free and I figured I better go back to school. There's so much going on. So I thought, hypnotherapy, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. And I got to put more I have a little bit of space left on the book to put more initials.
Okay.
But one of the things we talk about is, communication with your clients, communication with your family, and using those I statements. We keep hearing about nonviolent communication and healthy communication with people. So if you're having an issue with someone, take a minute, think about how you are feeling, and say something like, when you interrupt me, I feel like I'm not being heard, as opposed to, you're a jerk, you keep interrupting me. Well, what's the person going to do but get defensive?
Right.
So take a minute, do a mini, I am at peace, and then really think about how you feel about that. Is it that you feel disrespected? Is it that you feel hurt? Do you feel unheard? Do you feel that you're made to be less important than them because what they have to say they keep interrupting? Really figure out how that feels and then communicate it from that way. And the person's going to be less defensive if you come at it with, I'm feeling really hurt that you did, It's just an easier way to do it. It's hard. It takes practice. It takes practice.
Because I had a rough week.
I am at peace.
I wish I would have said I am at peace, but it was so bad that I couldn't even sit and start reading a book because it was bad. So
that's what happens when you get married.
No, that's not the case. But I know there's a lot of athletes out there that are suffering from back problems, and with this new lawsuit that the NFL just settled for giving all these athletes painkillers to manage their pain.
Right.
What is your opinion on how people can take care of themselves a different way?
I'm not anti-pain med. I mean, we don't want to walk around in pain.
Right.
You get to a certain level in your body where the pain is actually going to be more detrimental. So take the Advil or the don't make yourself suffer. But there's other things you can do, and hypnotherapy is a great way to decrease pain, doing things like progressive muscle relaxation, where you start at the top of your head and you relax all the way down progressively. There's tapes online and things you can listen to program your body to relax in that way. There's something that I just learned about called glove anesthesia, which is so cool, where it's a visualization technique, and you would visualize your hand in snow, or your hand in ice water, or put an ice pack on your hand if you're not great at visualizing, and then send that numbness, that coolness, to the part of your body that hurts. So if you're experiencing back pain, picture that coldness, feel that coolness, that numbness, that tingling, and send it to where the pain is. It's such a great technique. It works really well if you're in hypnosis, if you're in a relaxed state. If you do formal meditation, that's a great time to do that. Acupuncture is fabulous for back pain. My background's in massage. I still have a massage practice. So, massage therapy for back pain is fabulous. And even if you say, oh, well, I've got a herniated disc, or I've got a bulging disc, or I've got a cracked vertebrae, massage can still help. And there was a phenomenal doctor named Dr. John Sarno who did a lot of research into specifically back pain and the emotions that go along with it. And he found and coined the phrase tensomyocytosis syndrome, or some TMS, tension myositis syndrome. And it was basically that we are taking that emotion and stuffing it. So in order to prove this, he took 100 completely non-symptomatic people, did MRIs, X-rays, CT scans, and found that a certain percentage of them had things like bulging discs, herniated discs, squished vertebrae issues, things like that, but we're having no symptoms. So just because you are having symptoms doesn't mean that that's what's causing it. So try massage, try acupuncture, stretching. I'm a big fan of chiropractic. My chiropractors keep me standing upright after all the hip hop and all the trapeze.
Right.
So look for alternative things. You don't have to immediately rush to drugs and surgery. There are other options that you can try. And I know we're a society of quick fix. Give me the pill, I'll have the donut. But take your time and get second opinions, and don't think you have to rush into surgery unless it's life-threatening. Really think about your options and explore them. That's what I recommend everybody do.
So now, how would you de-stress a gambler?
How would I de-stress a gambler?
like if I'm playing Texas Hold'em,
and you lost all your money?
Well, no. If I have a bad hand, how would you de-stress a bluffer?
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's actually a really good question, because what stress does to us is it muddies our thinking. Our memory goes down when we're having a stress response. So whether it's an exam or a poker tournament or a tennis game or dodgeball or whatever it is, if we're in a TV show, whatever it is, and they've done a lot of studies with sports performance, when we're in a more relaxed state, when we're visualizing success, when we're saying I can do it, I win, bullseye, I can do this, we perform better. So whether you're sitting at the poker table, even doing something like I am at peace is going to stop that stress response so that you're thinking clear, you have better reaction time, and you're going to make better decisions about your hand. Everyone go gamble.
2-4, and I don't go 3-6.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
You have a question for her?
Yeah, I hear a lot about mindfulness. What is it exactly?
Mindfulness is cool, and I love that you're asking that, because you're at the perfect age to start working with mindfulness. Mindfulness is being in the present moment with focus and curiosity. So I can look at this ball and I can go, oh yeah, it's a yellow ball, whatever. Or I can really look at this ball and think about the color of it, and there's some writing on it, but it's not raised writing, and there's a little seam where the ball was put together, and it squishes, it's a stress ball, and it doesn't smell like anything, but it feels really soft. What have I just done, other than rub a strange little ball in my face, is I've forgotten about the past, I'm not worrying about the future, my entire focus was with curiosity on this ball. And what that does is it brings you back to the present moment, because it occupies my time. And we can do anything mindfully. We can meditate mindfully. We can do the dishes mindfully and feel the soap on your hands and feel the temperature of the water and the smell of the lemon in the soap. And then that one little bubble floats away and there's a rainbow in it, and then it pops and you see the little sparkles of water go off. That's a meditation. And using all of our senses. And there's things we have to do every day. We have to brush our teeth, we have to take a shower, we have to do the dishes, have to clean the cat box, skip the smelling portion at that part. But all of those things can be a mindfulness practice. Playing with your kids, talking to your spouse, making love. We tend to be so distant and distracted and in other places, and we're missing the beauty, which is this moment. And where's the stress? The stress isn't right here. It's behind us. It's the things we're regretting, the things we're dwelling on, the things we're ruminating over, or it's the future, which are things that we don't even know is going to happen. So all we have is this very moment, and in this very moment, there's no stress. I had the privilege of studying with Thich Nhat Hanh last year at Harvard. He's probably the second most famous monk compared to the Dalai Lama. And he had all these brothers and sisters with him, and one of the sisters, she said something so wise. She was talking about a woman coming to her and saying, I'm pregnant, but they think there's a problem, and I don't know if I'm going to lose this child. I'm not going to know for a week. How in the world do I not go completely crazy in this week wondering if I'm going to have to lose my child?
And have an abortion through that stress.
Exactly. And the sister said, what do you know right now? And the woman said, I have a healthy baby inside me. She goes, okay, you're not going to know anything for a week. Why suffer twice? Why worry about it? Why get yourself sick? Why ruminate and fantasize over something that you don't even know is going to happen? When you have the information that something's wrong, then you deal with it. But if you put that first, then you're suffering more than once. And we do that so often. We worry about the audit. We worry about the blood test. We worry about the meeting with the boss, the date, whatever it is. Rather than being in the present moment, we're losing out on what's happening now, and we're suffering more than once. So do the best you can. It's a practice to stay in the present moment and not vacillate between the past and the future. But that's one of the big keys to health, staying right here.
And I think that's the most difficult part for a lot of us, because we give in and we immediately go to the negative.
Yes.
Like I was all week, I was in the negative. I should have been in the positive all week, because it would have helped me tremendously. But I gave that power to the negativity in my mind, and I did not knew how to come back and take it over and say, no, you ain't doing this to me. I'm doing well or whatever.
Right. And it's hard because our brain is constantly forming new pathways. And so what we think about grows. It expands in our own consciousness. So if you're dwelling on something negative, you're going to keep having more and more negative thoughts. Whereas if you're thinking about something positive, you're going to be more apt to go to the positive thoughts. So the more we can break that cycle and get out of that habit, that pattern, and it comes from our parents, it comes from our peers, it comes from I had a client who had, speaking of back pain, really bad back pain. So anytime she got out of the chair, she'd go, oh, and she'd feel her back, and she'd stand. She was a young woman, but just really bad back. And she had a 3-year-old daughter who is observing this. And one day the daughter gets up from the dinner table and goes, my back hurts. And here's this 3-year-old that was now modeling that behavior. And the woman felt terrible. She didn't realize that in her constantly bringing up how bad her back was, that her family was starting to be affected by it. So it was a really interesting lesson. And, we pick that stuff up too. If we're with a partner or in a job or in an environment where it's we're going to give into that and play that game too. That's I can't wait to tell you all my bad news. We all have a friend like that who calls us to complain about stuff. It's like, stop.
True that.
Yeah.
Mine calls me from Fort Lauderdale.
Oh man. How do you correct negative thinking?
It's a matter of changing your mind. And it's a hard choice. And that's where, again, I like the affirmations. Doing things like I am at peace, because we can't stop thinking things. It's so much harder. So if we can change it. But the first thing is again, self-awareness. And I have friends and family members who will constantly say something like, oh, I'm broke, I can't afford that. Well, why are you reinforcing that? Because one, I know you're not broke, so all the truly broke people are now being offended by that. But why are you reiterating that and saying that constantly? I'm broke, I can't afford that. Oh, we can't afford that. We can't buy that. You're just reinforcing that negativity. And by saying something like, I'm prosperous and abundant, I accept money from unexpected sources, prosperity flows freely to me, I am surrounded by helpful and generous friends, at the very least, we're changing our stress response. It's going away. Which allows us to be open to the abundance of the universe. We all deserve wealth and health and happiness and abundance and good friends, and we just have to put our mind to that.
So now I gotta ask, how long did it take you to write this book?
People always ask me that. That's a hard one because it was based on my dissertation for my PhD. So I sat at my computer for a long time typing my dissertation, which took months. And I, changed it and added a bunch of things. And I remember very clearly sitting at my computer and going, I can't write anymore. And my husband coming up to me and going, but you have to. And me saying, I know. And he'd hand me wine, and I go, thank you. I actually thanked wine in the introduction to my dissertation. Wine and iced tea, and my husband, who didn't see me for weeks except to bring me beverages, got me through my dissertation.
That's
and
fantastic,
it was.
though.
I found so much amazing research and so many things I wanted to share with people. I couldn't give it to 3 advisors and put it in a box and never see it again. So I made it a book. So I did not start from scratch and write this. The book I'm writing right now, I'm sitting down from scratch and writing. It's a very different experience than saying, I'm going to adapt this.
Do you have a title for your new book, or?
I do. Journey of Healing.
Oh.
So it's a little bit different. It's my personal journey through what I've been through to be a healer, and also personal healing, what I went through with my mom, and watching her deal with her cancer. And it's going to be a workbook / autobiography, because apparently people like they want to hear my personal stories, which I love sharing because people learn through that. So if I can talk about my failings and my successes and my struggles and my accomplishments with health, if someone learns from that personal experience, perfect. That's why I went through it. So it's good. I just started working on it, and it'll be out later.
Right.
Explain to our viewers, how did you get into all of this? Because I know part had to do with your mom passing and all
Yeah.
of that stuff. So
A little bit did. I never ever thought about going into healing at all. I mean, people said, "Why weren't you in medical school?" And I said, "I can't do math, so that's a problem." They kind of frown on that. But I was an actor. So I never really thought about the healing thing, but it was always part of my life. I started doing massage when I was like 5. I'd sit behind my dad on long car trips and I'd rub his neck so he didn't get headaches. It's the story I always go to because there was always part of that in my consciousness. And when my mom was sick and suffering, I wished there were other things she could do. And in Pittsburgh in the 80s, there weren't a lot of options for her. So, that's one of the reasons I got into the alternative medicine aspect of it, the complementary aspect of it, is I love Western medicine and what we can do with it. I wish it was used differently, but I want things that are going to integrate with that. And so it's been a lifetime of learning for me.
Okay, we got a minute left.
Yes.
Final thoughts, everybody.
Oh, I'm having a final thought. Okay. Eat the best food you can. Organic is fabulous. Try to control your thoughts. Be as positive as you possibly can, and it's through the choices that you make that you're going to have better health. So that's my
Axel?
advice.
your thoughts?
Oh, my thoughts. Yeah, it's very important to be self-aware of everything, and definitely be self-aware of how you're feeling, because feelings can manifest in physiological reactions.
And make sure everyone buy this book by Miss Kathy Gruver, not to be mistaken for the villain of Die Hard.
And I want to thank Miss Kathy for being here with us again, and hopefully she will come back soon. Don't forget about her books. Please run out and get them. It will help you tremendously. I know that for sure. I have tried some of these things, but not this past week. Enjoy it. See you next week. Same time, same channel.
Thank
See you later, everybody.
Hasta la vista.
Hasta la vista.